Hey, this is Sandy.
And Randy.
And we're here on AT Corner.
Being an athlete trainer comes with ups and downs, and we're here to showcase it all.
Join us as we share our world in sports medicine.
Welcome back to another episode of AT Corner. We're here, season 3. Let's do this.
I hope everyone had a great summer.
Yes, and speaking of summer, what better way to kick off our new season than summer camp stories?
Which apparently we've already done before, which goes to show you how many episodes we've done, because I didn't remember doing one already.
That's very true. But nice thing is, community has grown a little bit, maybe some new submissions. And plus, we all work summer camps at some point.
Actually, I don't know if I've worked like a traditional summer camp.
Oh, you're missing out.
I've worked football summer camp, but...
Oh, that's different.
But right. It's different.
Yeah, they don't... Well, I guess some schools do, but they don't give you awesome fast food like summer camps do.
Oh, we get fed.
That's true. But we get fast food. Del Taco, we've gotten Del Taco.
That's an exciting story you've got there.
Well, we're only kicking this off right.
I feel like you have more camp experience than I do.
It's been a while, though. Like, I have not worked camps in a while.
Yeah.
So, I have to really dive into the memory bank for some of them.
Well, I mean, I feel like I can dive into your memory bank.
That's true.
For this.
Because you did come out and hang out with me during my camps.
Because I didn't work at the camps, I just hung out at the camps.
Yeah, so you experienced them.
I did, just not as a
not
certified
working.
Athletic trainer.
Yeah, you just weren't working.
Yeah. I was getting the camp experience without getting the camp experience.
Yes, that's true.
Actually, speaking of camp experience, we have our first story is from Marissa S. And she kind of sums up like her university's camps like pretty well.
Okay.
You want to go for it?
Yes, this one is by Marissa S. Summer after college, I worked for my university who hosts extensive sports camps all summer long. So all of us that worked sports camps did a draft of all the camps we wanted to work. Each week was different. They had the school's full-time ATs in charge of their sports camps, as their athletes were the coaches. Then the GAs were the management/transport, and then certified ATs worked fields/courts like you would a tournament. And the AT students were like runners who helped with waters, restocking supplies, calling ATs for injuries, and handing out ice. This is intense.
Right? Like that's really well organized.
There's a system, like holy smokes. It was a really cool setup, and I ended up working a couple football, basketball, and baseball camps throughout the summer. I worked sports I was already comfortable with because I chose ones I enjoyed. But there were a lot of other options that I didn't choose. And we got to work with other people. It was cool because it was a new crew every week and people that you didn't know from school / weren't in your cohort. It was a really fun summer because it was just sports and hanging out with other ATs. We also got fed by the school, so we'd all eat together and drive each other around to the different venues. That is really cool. That sounds really neat.
Right? I feel like our school just was talking about, we're going to start hosting camps next year. And my first thought was, am I covering that?
That is always the question about camps is, okay, wait, like camps are great until you're like, okay, wait, who's covering? Like Can
I hire out?
Who is the responsible party to provide medical coverage? Right. But I do have to say, like, I remember like as an AT student when we would help out with the camps, like it was kind of fun. Like during the summer, like you just work and you get to hang out with your cohort and you do get fed. I do have to say, I'm glad that was in there because that is my biggest memories of camp.
See, I don't think I really had that. Like, my summers were football camp, and that's it. Like, football hell week.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember you guys ever really having that option.
Yeah. My camp experience was through you. What kind of age group were you looking at for camps? Like, what was your age range?
Wide range. I think I had the youngest about being like 4 or so, 4 or 5. Oldest about high school. So I had a wide range.
You didn't do any collegiate camps?
Well, it was mostly like the high school age, like the ones who would be like prospect camps or like ID camps.
So we have one from Caroline D. So these next few are about like all ages. This one's about she said, I have 2 funny stories as well from the summer, and this one's about a little kid.
Okay.
The first one was at hockey camp. We had a 7-year-old from California. The camp was in New Hampshire. She was playing in a game one day and looked up at me, and the coach said she had to go to the bathroom. So we tell her to use the one next to the locker room, and then she looked up at us again with really big eyes. And she goes, never mind.
Oh, no.
She peed her pants in her equipment, and we had to wash all of it after the game.
Oh, no. Poor thing.
Yeah, hockey. Like, that's not easy to get off.
No, that's a lot of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh. Poor thing. I do have to say, kind of similar, maybe not so similar. I had a camper have their second period of all time at the camp.
I remember this.
Yep. She was like, obviously not feeling very well. And, talking about it, she said that was, I think, her second one. And I was just like, you poor thing.
She probably didn't. You were like college. Oh, were you already? You were a GA?
Yeah, that's when I was a GA.
Still college age male. She has to talk to a college age male about her second period of all time.
And at that point, there's really nothing you can do. So it's like, I was like, you might want to call your mom, see if you can get some meds. I felt so bad for her because she couldn't do anything, and it's a camp. There's nothing we can do. Like,
poor thing.
Because I can't give her meds. So I need mom to come and give her meds.
Right.
So it's just like, hang in there, kiddo.
Oh my
I felt
gosh.
so bad for her. That was pretty crappy.
So this next one from Kjersten M. She said, a camper's little sister, who is not a participant, had arm pain, and imaging showed a radial and ulnar fracture. Glad I did a quick eval. She was like 4 years old, and she fooshed while playing in the grass.
Ouch.
She was the saddest and quietest patient I think I've ever worked with. I just knew she didn't feel good and had a gut feeling that her arm was broken. Lo and behold, she came back the next day to show me her cast.
Now the question is, did you get to sign the cast?
Right.
That's fun.
You just sign it. Called it.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to sign a cast. Like, even for my student athletes.
Wait, you mean like in your life or like as
in my life? Oh,
really?
well, in my life in general, but definitely as an AT. I must have boring athletes.
Well, I feel like okay, this is a question for like everyone. Is it not a thing anymore that people don't get their cast signed, or is it just not a thing because I'm not that age?
I don't know. I've had student athletes still get their cast signed.
I mean,
granted, I haven't had that many student athletes that really needed a cast, but
I feel like the last time I saw someone with a cast that had signatures on it was probably my cousin when I was like 10 or 11.
Interesting. No, yeah, I've definitely seen definitely college age athletes signing casts.
You know what casts I think are the coolest that need more hype so
Which
people
ones?
do it more? The double colored casts.
Oh, yeah.
Like the stripy ones?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Also, at NATA, we saw this cast that was 3D printed.
And had like holes in it, so it was like breathable.
Cool.
That was pretty dope. I do have to say that was pretty dope.
I am not looking forward to the time that one of my athletes needs a cast. However, I will definitely call up that company because they go through insurance.
Oh, that's cool. That's really
cool.
neat.
So cool. Anyway, speaking of casts, we have another one about a cast.
More casts.
This one's from Mara, actually, from Precision AT.
That's right.
Our partner, if you guys are new, we have free CEUs thanks to Precision AT.
Yes, we love Precision here.
They are awesome. Our latest 5 CEU episodes are free. The rest are behind a paywall. So as new ones come out, older ones can be purchased. for bonus content
Yes.
and for the CUs through that episode. So it's pretty cool.
Yes.
And it's all thanks to Precision AT. So speaking of Mara.
Yes, this one's by Mara S. Little kids can bend and break. Forever ago, at a soccer camp, a kid was doing something not sport-related and fooshed. Ended up with bent radius and ulna, but not broken. X-ray showed a bend. They ended up still in a cast. That's crazy.
I've never heard of that.
Like, I mean, I get it, because, right, like, their bones are still a lot more flexible, but, like, to actually see it bent.
Right. Both of them.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, also to think, like, imagine the people who wouldn't have gone to get an x-ray.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how it presented, but could you imagine just...
Well, and plus, too, like, sometimes, like, when kids are like, oh, this hurts, right? Oh, it's growing pains.
Or the kid who cried wolf.
Yeah.
They've said, my arm hurts, like, all week long.
You know what the hardest one, especially with camps, and this one just, like... Again, as an AT that works in college athletics, you know, working with the little ones can sometimes be frustrating. The ones who don't want to be there, or who are like, my tummy hurts.
Wait, please tell the story about our favorite baseball kid.
Oh, don't worry, I got that one. But yeah, they're like those kids that just like sit there and like, my tummy hurts, and it's like. Obviously, tummy hurts could be a thing, but like they keep doing it all camp, and it's like either you need to change your diet or just maybe find another camp.
Right.
All right. So our favorite baseball player?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. So it was a baseball camp, and this is like at the school I was working at, their baseball camps, again, big age ranges. I think this camp, I think the youngest was around 4. And I think they got up to maybe right around middle school or just before middle school.
Okay.
And they do these camps are pretty big. And they do a really good job of dividing the kids based on like age and somewhat skill. So it's pretty funny to watch the interpretations of competitiveness based on each age group. So I was watching the probably like 4 or 5 or 6-year-olds in their game. And one thing that I've noticed is kids are mean to each other.
Yeah, they have no filter.
They're like, oh, come on, catch the ball. Like, they're so mean to each other. Like, I don't understand. So this one kid was really he was tired of his team. He was really upset. No one was making plays because this kid was obviously making plays. And
no one's making plays because they're 5.
Yeah. Like, we're not watching baseball. We're watching kids run to a ball. So he's getting, I'm telling you, this kid is getting madder and madder by the minute. And like this one kid like throws to first and misses it. And he's like, oh, come on, you got to catch the ball. Or like, the kid, I don't know what he did. Like he didn't like make the catch. He's like, come on, you gotta catch that. And the kid's like 4 or 5, and he's out in the outfield and he's just pouting. And there was this play that was at first, and again, who runs these camps, right? It's the college students. It's the student athletes. They don't care. They're just there to make money, and like, come on, right? And so the coaches, right, or the college students are the ones who are being the umpires in this game. All right, he called a kid safe, which probably was clearly out. But who cares? Just let the kids play.
The kid cares.
I was going to say, this kid lost his mind. Again, 4 or 5. Oh, he was out. No, he was out. And whatever. Clearly, the college students didn't care. And we're getting ready to move on to the next batter, right? This kid is just like, he's pouting out there in the outfield, and finally, he had it. When I tell you this child stomped off the field, he stomped off the field from left field to sit on the side of the field, and he was done playing. He sat down, arms
by the backpacks.
By the backpacks, arms folded, and just had that look. And I just sat there and thought, like, what if, like, Mike Trout did that? Right? Like, what if you're watching, which, by the way, how the Angels season has went, I wouldn't blame him. But, like, you're watching the game, and all of a sudden you just see, like, there goes Mike Trout just stomping off the field into the dugout. Oh, and he's pouting now. Like, that was cracking me up because, like, what if you just saw the pros do that?
So I think that's when I joined you.
Yes, you got there just in time.
Well, I didn't see him stomp off, but I went over and I...
Oh, you asked me. You were asking,
I was like,
what's wrong with that kid?
Why is that kid in trouble? Is he in trouble?
Nope.
Why is he sitting with his arms crossed by the backpacks?
Nope. He is just...
pouting.
He's a very upset child.
So we're going to go to the other end of the spectrum, actually, with collegiate baseball.
Okay.
So this is a collegiate baseball camp.
Let's do it.
So this is from our MVP, Nicolette.
Yes, MVP.
So she said, non-sport related, but I had a guy throw up all over the bus from eating too many breadsticks at Olive Garden.
Ugh.
# baseball. He was college age, old enough to know when he is full.
Hey, but those unlimited breadsticks. Come on. You can't pass that up.
Well, he couldn't.
Well, you had quite the vomit story this past weekend.
At our football scrimmage?
Yeah, which kind of camp? Football camp.
We're in camp.
Yeah.
Freaking hot as
whatever.
What?
As what? Hot as what?
What are we rating our podcast? 'Cause
well, we can make it explicit, so.
So
I already said crappy on this. I think that's
what iTunes deems as explicit.
I guess.
So anyway,
we should probably start doing our stories with beers in hand.
No, because I won't be able to censor myself probably. Okay. So, football scrimmage. I've seen a lot of vomit, obviously. This kid vomiting on the field is literally like water is coming, like yellow water is coming out of his mouth while he's talking. He's standing perfectly up straight. It's windy and it's just like coming out of his mouth. And he's trying to get someone to sub him. He's like tapping his helmet so much. And so I just like meet him and I'm like strategically standing so that the wind is like he is downwind of me.
Yeah.
Because there is no way I'm standing on that other side.
Oh yeah, no.
If he as soon as he opened his mouth, it was coming out. And like, it was like no effort. Like, you know how you usually have to like, oh.
I think just that sound you made, everyone who's like going to work now want to
You're
throw
welcome.
up.
You know how you have to like normally like heave? Like he had no effort. He just opened his mouth.
Was he throwing up while he was like trying to talk too?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's brutal.
I know. It was.
See, isn't football fun? Don't you want to play and work football?
That's like cross country status, I think.
They are not that bad.
Mm.
I mean, they kind of throw up. Most of the time, it's disgusting, that stringy saliva that's all over the place.
Oh man, that's pretty bad.
They do get that.
Okay, so back to camps. We do have a couple of timing things because there are some camps that go like overnight. Have you ever worked? Yes, you have.
Yes, I have.
You have an overnight story.
I do.
Okay, so before we get into the overnight stories, we have one about the last 5 minutes of a camp. Because that's when injuries happen.
Of course.
Go for it.
This one's by... Is that Eli?
Ellie.
This one's by Ellie G. I had an ankle dislocation in the last 5 minutes of a volleyball camp. That's brutal.
Okay, yeah, an ankle dislocation. And volleyball, I feel like, is so chill sometimes. It's chill until like...
Until it's not? Until you get an ankle dislocation?
Until you get an ankle dislocation, shoulder dislocation, like blood.
The girl came down from a jump and landed weird. Luckily, parents were already on site, so I was able to send her out immediately to the ER. That is pretty good timing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not for this poor child.
I feel like ankle dislocations are one of, like, you know how everyone has, like, an injury? Like, one that you just think about and you just don't really want to see? Like it used to be elbow dislocations for me until I saw one and I was like, oh, that actually like wasn't that bad. Like, why was I so scared of it for so long? Now I have two. I have a facial fracture, which is why I despise baseball.
Face things.
Face things I don't like. So, I actually have changed my mind. I really enjoy working baseball, but I am still on edge about
the face.
About the face. It's just like that's my injury right now. That's the one thing I don't want to see.
I might have a nasal fracture right now for you.
I've seen a nose fracture in wrestling, and it was fine. Like, but it didn't bleed, so I guess that's part of the like why it was so fine.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like a face fracture, like a baseball to the face. Oh my goodness, I had someone get a baseball to the forehead.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that like my heart was racing so fast. I was like, please do not be my injury right now. And it wasn't, so that was good. But like that, and then ankle dislocations. I feel like just because I haven't really seen one, I feel like I'm gonna be like, I mean, I think you'll be fine. I do fine with emergencies, but I think that's like my like, I don't want to say my nemesis, but it's like my injury. Like that's my like what I don't want to see.
I've never heard of that.
What is yours?
I don't know. I'm just always prepared on it.
Okay, ready. I'm just always prepared.
I'm just ready to go.
No, there's like, you know, like some people don't like eye injuries. Like, oh, if it's like an eye, I don't want to deal with it.
I don't think I have that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not.
There's nothing that's
I'm not like creeped out by all that.
No,
unless it's me.
I'm not creeped out by it. I'm like, that's like something I just don't want to deal with. Like, I just don't want to be in that situation.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want to be in like a tib-fib fracture situation.
Okay, see, there you go.
But like,
maybe that's your injury.
I'm ready to rock if it happens. I got my game plan in mind.
I know. You know how prepared I am for a facial injury because I don't want to see it? That is like same thing as ankle dislocation. Like anytime someone says they had an ankle dislocation, I'm like, you need to sit me down and go minute by minute, play by play. I need to hear about this.
You know what? Total knee dislocation. That one's pretty brutal.
Oof.
Because the popliteal artery can get ruptured.
Ooh.
I think it's a pretty high risk. So I would say maybe total knee dislocation. Like that one's pretty brutal.
Yeah, someone sent in a picture of that.
Total knee?
Sick. Yeah. I don't know if we shared that story, but I have
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I have the picture.
Nice.
Yeah. Someone remind us if we shared that story already, because apparently we're bad at remembering what we've done and what we haven't.
Episode 101, baby. We're in triple digits, by the way.
Seriously. Maybe that's why our memory's so bad. Maybe we have concussions.
It's a little early in the season for us to have that.
I don't know. I thought I had one before NATA, so.
I forgot about that.
For before NATA, I'm just going to share the story because
we're doing this.
We're going to have to split this up.
Okay.
So before NATA, we were actually going, if you guys don't really know our story, we've been married for 3 years, but we eloped and then we were supposed to have a big ceremony in 2020, but then
something happened.
So then we had to postpone it, and then
global thing.
And then we had to postpone it again, and then so we ended up having it in 2022, actually just this May. So what had happened was we had waited on our honeymoon too. And so we were like, oh, well, why don't we just go at the same time, like right before NATA? So we ended up doing like a couple weeks. We did, we went out to Virginia. We went to a national park.
Shenandoah National Park. Highly recommend, by the way.
And then
gorgeous.
And then we went to NATA. So we kind of like made like an extended trip.
So basically what she's saying is a part of our honeymoon was NATA.
No, we're not that AT nerds.
No. I am.
Okay, you are. So anyway, I was doing laundry for our trip because it was so hard to pack for like hiking and business casual.
And 2 weeks. The duration.
Right.
The 2 different trips.
So anyway, I had to do all of our laundry, and I stood up into, I don't know if you guys know what a captain's chair is, but it's like a pull-up bar and a, like, what are those, you like...
Those like leg up things for your core. You pull both legs up while you're like stationary upper body.
Yeah, so I like stood up into it and it was really hot in the garage where our laundry is, and oh my gosh, my head started hurting, which I don't get headaches, so I was like, oh, this is like bad. Right? And so then I told Randy, and I was like, oh, shoot. If I feel the need to tell Randy, I probably think there's something wrong.
Oh, yeah. Anytime she tells me, I know.
And so then I was like thinking like, okay, is this like my scalp hurting, or is it actually
So my favorite part
head?
is you're worried about a concussion, but I'm going to start thinking more now.
And so then I was like thinking I was like, I really need to I need to figure out, I need to differentiate. Is this my scalp or is it my head that's hurting? Like, why is it still hurting? And then I would leave and kind of forget about it. And then I'd come back to the same spot and remember that my head hurts. And I was like, oh shoot, was I just not thinking that my head hurts, or did it actually not hurt? Like, it's not hurting anymore. And then I was like, do I have any other symptoms? I'm just like, really, am I having trouble concentrating? And so then I was like, you know what? If it's a concussion, like, we'll figure it out. We're both ATs.
Yep.
And then we went in an airplane, and then I was so nauseous, and I don't usually get I've never gotten nauseous in an airport. I've gotten in an airport, which is a whole nother story, but not on a plane, like to the point that I was like, I almost grabbed the barf bag, like on the plane. And then I was thinking, man, like, I really am concussed. Like, I've got to be concussed. Why am I nauseous right now?
I think you were good.
I think I was good.
We had other explanations for that, for like the nausea and stuff.
I'm not pregnant.
Okay, that's not what... All right. We're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah. And then I drank a bunch of water, and then I was like mostly fine.
Because you've kind of had something similar before when we went to New Orleans.
Oh, right. Oh, and then I had vertigo for like all of NATA. Like, so bad.
So, I mean, that's why we were kind of thinking like, you might be all right.
Yeah.
Because you have had that before.
Yeah. It was just, by the way, it was just bad, but we made it through. I didn't tip over.
No, you didn't.
That was it. No one
even though
asked
there
me why I was
were a
walking
lot of
quickly.
sessions on like
BPPV.
Yeah, vertigo and
I know. I was like, oh, I can just learn about myself.
Hey, I signed up for all those bad boys. I was ready.
I know, the learning labs where they're like, okay, now shake your head, and I was like, oh no. All right, back to camp. Timing. Let's do some midnight calls.
Yes, this one's by Erika W. I was working a Nike tennis sleepaway camp and was called at 3 a.m. for a girl who had a hives breakout. Man, that sucks. I took my kit with me knowing I had at least 10 small hydrocortisone packets in it. I was envisioning a small breakout, but when I got to her, she was covered head to toe. I had to run to the ATC, which was all the way across campus, to get more hydrocortisone. Unfortunately, there were only small packets.
Of course.
About 40 packets, and 15 minutes later, she was all covered. Luckily, it was helping the redness and itching. The camper said she had eczema and was slightly gluten intolerant and couldn't resist the homemade cupcakes the cafeteria was making that night. I don't blame her. They were delicious. She had no other symptoms, just large, blotchy red patches. She was trying not to itch to break the skin.
Oh,
poor thing.
I know.
But I mean...
This is 3 a.m. Poor girl.
I know. But you know what? Those cupcakes.
I know. It's hard, like, especially, like, it doesn't matter how old she is. It's hard to say no to something everyone else is enjoying.
Dude, 3 a.m. call, though.
Yeah, poor thing.
That's brutal. I'm glad I never had to, be on call the entire time.
You didn't?
No.
I thought the ramen...
No, that happened in the morning.
Oh, really? I thought that happened at night.
No. So, but in years past, that same camp, they actually had the AT stay.
Oh, wow.
In the dorms with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that wasn't me.
Tell us your ramen story.
Yeah, so this is literally the last day. So I'm setting up in the morning. I'm getting the water ready. And I get a call saying, like, hey, like, you might want to head over here, like, now. Like, this girl burned herself. I'm like, okay. Like, I was anticipating, like, oh, she spilled the water on her hand or something, right? Like, because they had ramen available. Like, they basically had, like,
cup of noodles.
Yeah, like, they had a snack bar during the week that the girls could, like, buy, like, some food and stuff. And again, I'm anticipating, right? Because, like, it's in the microwave, which is probably, like, above her head. Like, she went to grab it and maybe spilled, right? So, hand, maybe wrist, right? We'll be okay. I get there. Bruh. Like, I don't know what they were doing with this cup of noodle, but it's like she burned, like, all of her leg.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, I walked up, I'm like, is this real?
Poor thing.
I know. It looked uncomfortable. Like, it blistered really well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, it was a significant burn.
Oh.
So I cleaned her up, you know, gave her some ice for it too, and, you know, patched her up. Last day.
Well, at least she got to go home.
At least she got to go home right after that. So talk to the parents, you know, let them know about the burn. And
what'd you do for her?
I just cleaned it up. Make sure it was nice and clean, and then I put HIPAA cleanse, and then I did.
You can't, like, rub it.
No, so I had to dab.
Oh,
and then ice, and I just kind of patched her up.
Poor thing.
I know it. You can, like, obviously it hurt, you know, and she was in tears. Like, she was calm though. Like, she wasn't, like, actively, like, crying, but you can tell she had some tears going, and she was not comfortable. So that was pretty brutal, but I'm still trying to figure out how the cup of noodles spilled on her leg.
I mean, maybe she was eating it in her lap?
No, because I don't think she even had a chance to eat it yet, from what I remember. I think she was, like, she was still from grabbing it or had it mobile. I don't think we were stationary. I think we're moving.
She'll never do that again.
No.
We have another midnight call. Falling off a bunk bed.
Okay.
So this is Julie R. She said, yep, that was a first for me. An 11-year-old. Squash camp. Fractured clavicle and dislocated shoulder. This is also at 1:30 a.m.
Nice.
They had to put him under anesthesia to try and relocate the glenohumeral joint, but then required surgery for the clavicle fracture. The parents were 4 hours away, and they got there around 6:30 a.m., and surgery was later that morning. We ended up calling 911 because he was on the smaller side, and he was still in a booster seat in his parents' car. So since I didn't have the proper seating, they were transported. Oh, I didn't think about that. That's actually kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
I went with him, and fortunately, he was able to stay. Unfortunately, I was able to stay with the scared kid the whole time until the parents arrived. Once the parents arrived to the hospital, they didn't want me to leave because they didn't understand all of the quote-unquote doctor terms. So I stayed for a bit with them to help them understand what was going on, which is super awesome.
And again, that's the important thing about ATs.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Actually, speaking of parents, we have a tip and tricks from Caroline about parents.
Caroline says, for tips and tricks this summer, I really learned how to communicate with parents. It's hard because you don't know the kids coming in, so if they get a concussion or any other injury, you don't know their pain tolerance or how honest they're going to be with reporting their symptoms. I use the parents as a tool to help gauge how severe the injury actually was.
I feel like you could learn so much from the parents, and then, like, in return, they could also learn so much from you, like the doctor terms that Julie was talking about.
See, the tough thing is a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but in the cases that I've seen, the ATs working these camps are usually the ones working with collegiate student athletes who don't deal with parents very often.
Good call.
So it definitely can be a challenge when you, like, 10 months out of the year, you do not deal with parents. So it definitely can be a challenge.
That's true.
Especially to remember that.
I feel like I have a lot of minors this year as I'm going through paperwork.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. I just had a parent today, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Actually, the kid just turned 18, this week.
Nice.
So I'm like, you're not a minor anymore.
No more dealing with the parents for you.
Right. Okay. For our next topic, we have kind of like what you see. I feel like camps, you get a lot of emergency. And sometimes I feel like it's because with camps, you don't necessarily... I feel like it's a shorter line to call 911 for a camp than it is for someone who maybe you know their history.
Yeah.
Like...
Also, they're kids.
I mean, not always, though. Like,
that's true.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I feel like camp is easier to call 911. You're more likely to call 911.
I'd agree. Also, kids getting a little out of control, man. Hey, we're in summer mode now.
Also, all the extracurriculars.
Yes.
We have some stories on that.
Oh, okay.
I think I put them at the end. So anyway, let's go to this first obvious emergency. An extreme sports camp.
This one's by Jovany P. Hey, y'all. I see that y'all are looking for summer camp stuff, and I've got some good ones for you. I worked at an extreme sports camp in Pennsylvania last summer. When I tell you there were multiple hospital transportations every day, I am not kidding. The things these kids and adults would do were/are insane, and EMS was no stranger to us. This camp really is no joke at all. Went there insecure about my emergency care skills and came out feeling ready for anything.
So then he sent us a couple of pictures and videos, which we're going to put in our Facebook group.
Oh, nice.
But I'm going to show you one of the pictures right now, Randy,
okay.
Just for shock factor. Yes.
Oh, the shock factor?
Yeah. I've been waiting to show you this all week. This is the one I almost accidentally showed you.
Oh, okay. He continued to say, here's a video to show the type of things we'd have to deal with. Surprisingly enough, this guy did this stunt twice with only a scratch.
And it's basically this video of a guy on a scooter. And then he there's like 2 flights of stairs and he's like at the top and he just like jumps off the 2 flights of stairs and then totally eats it to the floor. Like his legs collapse underneath him. His face would be on the floor, but like his helmet's there. So.
Oh my gosh.
But then like he's fine.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what's funny is when I saw a scooter, I didn't think of an action sports scooter. I thought of one of the electric scooters that people like sit on and are scooting around.
So we're going to try, I don't know, I'll have to see if we can, I think we can put that video in our Facebook group and then also a picture. He said, here's a picture of a kid who fractured his forearm grinding off of a rail and literally, here's his forearm.
Yeah. Dude.
It's like Harry Potter status, when
like that's legit like watching that what was it? Chamber of Secrets, I think.
When his bone is not there.
Is water.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So
I would almost think that's fake.
The arm is fractured in 4 places.
Oh man.
2 proximal radius and ulna and 2 distal radius and ulna. And Jovany said, I still have no clue how it wasn't an open fracture.
Looking at that picture, I'm very surprised.
He's lucky it wasn't an open fracture.
One of my favorite fractures that I got to deal with was when one of my hurdlers was going over hurdle, tripped, and like fooshed, right? And like she had forearm pain, so I was looking at her and I was palpating, and when I touched like maybe probably distal third of the radius, when I pressed down, her thumb would come up. So I'd like press and her thumb would keep coming up. I'm like, this doesn't seem good. And it didn't feel very comfortable. And there was like some swelling there. I said, let's get an x-ray. Turns out that part was fractured. And when I was palpating there, the bone moving made her thumb come up.
Oh my gosh.
That was brutal. It's kind of cool, though. She did have surgery, though.
Well, and it was just the radius.
It was just the radius.
That's cool to experience, though.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I was pretty proud of myself.
My favorite fracture. When did we do that before? We're like, oh, my favorite injury.
Probably. Well, we just talked about what's your injury in this episode.
My nemesis?
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one is anonymous. This person said, a kid with a very specific seizure disorder was managed by keeping her goalkeeper gloves on. I don't know why. That was just the info that the dad gave us. So interesting. Yeah, that was just the info the dad gave us at check-in. And I can confirm that she decided that she didn't want to warm up in them one day, and then that same day ended up having a full grand mal seizure. I tried to research it after camp was over and didn't get very far. Sometimes you hit the point where you just don't question it, you just make sure they do.
Yeah, so true. Like, hey, just keep the gloves on. Clearly it's working, just keep them on.
So I learned that epilepsy is actually like a really broad term.
Okay.
They use it to, like, I was talking to a PA and he basically said they use it as anything. I can't remember how many seizures you had to have in 24 hours. Basically like anything that you have multiple seizures in 24 hours, I have to look back and see the number, is termed epilepsy. It's not like necessarily a specific disorder.
Nice. Look at that. Learn something new.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay, this one's crazy. I almost put it as our first story of this whole episode.
Yeah, I'm reading the header. I'm already like, excuse me? All right, this one's by Jason W. I was working camps with USA Hockey, and they were having week-long tryouts for the youth national teams to represent the U.S. abroad. So it was a pretty big deal with the best of the best in the nation competing for a spot on the roster. These kids and their parents were coming in from all over the country. Towards the end of the week, we had 2 days of scrimmage for final evaluations before coaches decided who would make the team. The first injury happened to a goalie who took the blade of a skate to the ribs after an opposing player had been tripped. Ouch. He came off immediately in pain, but had no visible external trauma. After about 5 to 10 minutes of trying to figure out what was wrong, his skin started turning yellow all over his body, and he became extremely weak to the point where he couldn't really stand, talk, or even keep his eyes open. Oh, that is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So I had his parents rush him to the hospital, where it turned out he had lacerated his spleen. Mind you, this is the first time I experienced this injury. The very next day, during the scrimmages, I had another player get slashed from behind in the abdomen. When I was evaluating him, I noticed the same exact symptoms starting. I immediately found his parents and told them what I thought was going on, and they took him to the ER where he had also lacerated his spleen. Even though it was a crazy experience, I'll never forget how a lacerated spleen can present. I remember that with the goalie, he was complaining of pain in his upper arm, which I thought was odd at the time because he had been hit so much lower. With the second player, once I saw the first few signs, I honestly didn't even wait to see how it would progress, since I saw how quickly the first athlete went downhill big time.
Seriously.
I mean, it is a very vascular organ.
Oh, yeah.
So things can go bad very quickly.
Right.
Hey, that's a good catch. And also, I don't know if I should say congrats or lucky you or bad luck. Like, man, 2 spleens in 2 days.
Right.
That's brutal.
Like my two C-spines in 2 days.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
I have never seen a spleen, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, if I never saw another injury again, I'd be the luckiest AT ever.
Yeah, true.
So, we have another hockey one, actually.
All right.
So speaking of hockey, we have from Marc W. He had a laceration of an ear 3/4 of the way off due to pressure cut of a hockey puck.
Oh, I heard those hockey pucks are brutal.
Okay, but the thing is, it actually didn't hit his ear directly.
Okay.
The kid walked in and said, "My head hurt. I got hit by the puck. And so Marc said, I was thinking concussion. And then he took his helmet off and I saw his ear. No sign of concussion, just ear pain, of course. So the player had helmet and ear protection. The rotation of the puck was so hard and fast, it pressed against the ear protection, causing the laceration. He was sent to the ER, got stitches, and it turned out fine.
That's good. When the added padding creates the injury.
Right.
Well, I guess how you look at it is that probably could have been worse.
Without the
padding.
Oof, I don't even want to.
I'm just saying, I have heard the pucks are brutal.
Yeah. Well, remember Jen and Kevin were telling us about the soft side versus the like
beveled?
Yeah, no, it's like a sandpaper side, like the edges of the puck.
Yeah, gritty.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, I heard it's brutal. So, yeah, maybe the padding did save him. Even though it also got the laceration.
The least of...
Yeah, at least he has his ear.
He could get from that.
Could have lost the ear.
We got another ear story.
All right, let's do this.
So at a camp, Quincy P said, I had a perforated eardrum.
Okay.
Athlete was in the goal, and he probably had 6 strikers rapid firing balls.
Love it.
He didn't turn around in time, and the soccer ball hit him in the side of the head and just blew the eardrum out.
Oh, man.
He got up and asked, who was whistling? Which is like classic textbook.
Yeah.
I checked him out with an otoscope, and plain as day, it was perforated. Not a whole lot we could do, so we notified the parents and put a cotton ball in. Gave him the number to our ENT in case they wanted it.
Nice. Poor kid.
Great job having an otoscope on the sideline, because I have someone somewhere. I have no clue.
Or just at the camp.
Well, yeah.
I feel like at camp you're just like, oh, like I'll just bring my kit.
Honestly, I don't even know where our otoscope is in the clinic.
Yeah. We currently do not have one. We need to get one. It's on the list. We have a lot of things we need to buy.
Maybe I should.
If only my budget was infinity dollars, I'd be good. I think any AT
otoscope would be on your list.
You know what? After hearing that, yeah, I think otoscope.
After hearing that, was that?
I see. We're already doing it.
Here's one you're not gonna like.
Okay, this one's by Anonymous. Stepped on a bee's nest on the ground. Yep, I'm out. I'm already out. I treated with ice and anti-sting wipes. Thankfully, he was not allergic, and all the stings were on his foot, ankle, and lower leg. Oh, that's all. He could walk fine and return to practice like the next day or day after that. Yeah, that's brutal, man. I do not like bees.
I know you don't.
Also, my question is, were the stingers still in? Because then you have to take all those things out.
Right.
So that would be brutal.
That is a good question. Well, I feel like bees are probably better than wasps that can sting multiple times.
Oh yeah, dude, those suckers are mean.
Mm-hmm.
At least the bee, like you said, like, oh, one time, boom, and obviously, the bee's gonna die after that. But
it's a sacrifice mission.
It is, but wasps, dude, they're mean. They just keep going.
Oh yeah.
Do not like wasps.
Okay, so this is like just another odd injury.
Okay.
From Whitney C. at a camp. I had to take care of a cheerleader who had an abscess in her breast.
Okay.
So this happened about 2018, my first summer camp for cheerleading. I had one of the head instructors pull me over to look at a female instructor in private. Oh, I didn't realize this was an instructor, actually.
Okay.
I asked if someone could come in the room with me, just in case, who is also a female. Always good practice.
Yes.
I asked her, okay, what's going on? She said she just got her nipples pierced maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. She's a back spot, so for 3 weeks she was repetitively catching girls, which irritated her new piercing.
Oh no.
That created an abscess starting to form next to her piercing. And it popped during a stunt.
Oh no.
So there was a huge hole about like 5 centimeters where it popped. I was able to clean the area, apply biofilm, and then I sent her to the ER to get antibiotics and also further evaluated.
Oh man, that's brutal.
I know, right?
Just popped.
Ugh.
Oh, that's brutal. I don't know why that makes it seem more disgusting. That popped.
Well, could you imagine just like the amount of repetitive force on that?
Yeah.
First of all, ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Big time ouch.
Yeah. Also, if it's that big,
5 centimeters. That's a big hole.
That's big. That's like 2.54 centimeters is in an inch?
Sure.
I think it's like, that's like 2 inches. That's huge.
That's pretty good that you just have that.
You know what? I don't know where I pulled that out of.
Well, you do like to craft. Makes sense.
That's just like a fact that I know.
Yeah, that's a good fact to know.
Watch as if that's not even true. Could you imagine?
We'll get a look on that. We'll review.
I'm pretty sure.
The booth will review. I'm sure you're right. Booth will review though. That's pretty good.
Another odd injury.
All right, this one's by Jacob P. Collision at touch football would have knocked out his front teeth if he didn't have braces. The teeth were pushed way back. He was an immediate referral to the dentist. Absolutely.
Okay, I thought this was really funny because he says touch football.
Yeah, well, because that's how it always starts, right? You're all like, oh, we'll play 2-hand touch. No. It just turns into tackle anyways. Okay,
so this reminds me of when during summer.
Uh-oh, anytime you start the story with that tone.
During summer, our sports are considered classes, so they're not necessarily needing to be covered by athletic trainers.
Yeah.
They are covered by the health center.
Yeah.
And so then we have a little bit more like freedom with schedules, or we should. That is a whole. We're not even getting into that. So anyway, our football coach was like, "Oh yeah, so you guys are staying, right?" And we're like, "Oh, well, you guys aren't in pads. Like, you should just be conditioning. Like, you do things very like walkthroughs, like, you know." Well, my coworker goes over and sees what they're calling summer football walkthrough, which, by the way, someone had dislocated their pinky while doing walkthroughs, and we're like, what are you guys doing over there?
That's not the most embarrassing way to do it.
I feel like the reason why we had to stay for football is the same reason why Jacob P. had a teeth pushback all the way at touch football.
Way back.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a track athlete get into it didn't happen when I was there. It literally happened the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But she was getting in the blocks. Just getting in the blocks dislocated her thumb.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
That is hard to do.
That is hard to do. Didn't fall, literally was just getting in the blocks, put her hands on the ground, boom, thumb dislocated.
Was she hypermobile?
No. I'm pretty sure no. From my memory, no.
So she got in a car accident, didn't tell you, and then got...
No. This athlete is very descriptive about their life. So anyone would have known about the car accident.
That's nuts.
It's pretty wild.
So we have another football story. Actually, this kind of goes into the section of where I put all the quote unquote extracurricular injuries because, at camp when you don't just do your sport at camp.
Oh, no.
You do other things at camp.
Yeah.
And those other things lead to injuries.
Yes.
So this football camp.
Okay.
Sofia W. says, we have a football player take his teammate's elbow to the face during razzle-dazzle. And I was like, I don't know what razzle-dazzle is. And she said, it's what they call like backyard football.
Okay.
They didn't have any pads, helmets. It was supposed to be a low-key evening activity.
Of course it was.
Yep. His nose was a faucet on full blast out of both nostrils. He said it didn't hurt and that he's never had a nosebleed before. He was adamant there was no pain, so we really didn't see any need to investigate more. So we just cleaned him up. Then I went to check on him 10 minutes later to see if he had bled through. As I walked up, he looked a little crooked. I asked again if it hurt. He said no. I pressed on it and it went crunch, crunch, crunch. He immediately said, okay, yeah, that kind of hurts.
Oh, that kind of hurts.
We took him to the hospital and he ended up with a nose fracture.
Nice. Love
From
that.
a low-key evening activity.
Yep. Dude, that's brutal.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You want to read the next one?
Yes. So this one's by
JJ.
Okay. This one's by JJ. During a football camp, someone got hit in the head with a Nerf gun during a team Nerf war. Hello, concussion. Nerf does get serious though. Like that's real.
Yeah, but like, how close were they?
Oh, I'm sure they were totally irresponsible throughout this process. I'm sure. Okay, it was football. I guarantee you, like 7 out of 10 of them thought it was Call of Duty and were like trying to take it up another level. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened.
I can't even remember the last time I shot a Nerf gun. That's a bad sign.
Okay, we should do a Nerf war.
I need more fun in my life, apparently.
You should have
as long as it doesn't involve a concussion.
You should have a Nerf weapon at your work. I think you should have it at your desk, and anytime someone's getting a little out of hand, just fire a Nerf dart at them.
No, that's what tape ends are for.
Yeah,
that's
but I feel like the Nerf will be more precise than throwing the...
I don't know. I've got pretty good aim.
All right. My aim's iffy.
I think if I'm throwing far, I have better aim than if I'm close.
I'm opposite. If I'm close, my aim's better. If I'm trying to throw far, I'm off. I used to throw them at my athletes after, like, if I was taping someone and I got to the end of the roll, like, as they were walking out, trying to fire it off real quick.
It's because I learned from the best.
Thanks.
I learned from...
Thanks, I know.
I learned from Juan.
Oh, dang it. All right, I'll give that to Juan.
Okay. So more team building activities. Caroline D said, I also had kids at a lacrosse camp who bought Dr. Pepper from the camp store, shook it up, and put the bottle end in their mouths and jumped up and down until a fizz came out of their noses. Safe to say, the next day I had a lot of kids with sore nostrils.
Why? Like, I just don't understand. Like, I mean, granted, it makes sense when you say lacrosse camp. Like, I picture the group of athletes that are doing this. But, like, why? Like, first of all, someone had to come up with the idea. So someone had to say, guys, let's get some Dr. Pepper and try and get it through our nose. So not only did someone have to come up with the idea, there were kids that agreed that, yes, this is going to be cool.
Well, you know, if one jumps off a cliff.
We're all jumping, apparently. Like, that's pretty spectacular. That's pretty bad.
Okay, so this next one's anonymous.
Well, most of the time, our extracurricular, from what I remember, was like water balloons.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I feel like
which I never went out there for that.
The only problem with water balloons is the cleanup.
Yeah. But I would always show up later once all the water balloons were taken.
So you didn't get doused in water?
So I didn't get attacked.
Oh, because you know they would.
Exactly.
You'd probably be number one target.
Probably.
Especially all those camps with the little girls who were in love with you.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that camp. They were big fans.
Big fans.
That was interesting.
Randy.
Yep. I was a big star that camp.
So this next one is anonymous. I had a tennis camper who smashed his finger between two bowling balls. Unfortunately, they couldn't continue playing tennis camp since that was their dominant hand and they had fractured the tip of their second and third. But they came back to watch.
That's brutal.
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, I feel like you usually have to call the parent because it's usually a kid.
Yeah.
Hey, so your camper can't.
Well, not only that. Hey, I know you paid X amount of dollars for this camp.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I know you paid money for this camp, but your kid can't participate because while not doing their sport.
Also, what I've learned about these camps is it's basically babysitting.
Oh, yeah.
It is totally childcare.
You know why they do camps.
Yes.
It's because they're not in school.
Yeah, and the parents need them to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest example of that, it wasn't the camps through athletics. It was the camps through the rec center. And they had like this giant camp for kids that would be like all summer long. And they would come and like, they had different activities throughout the day. They had snack time. Like it was basically school, but obviously a camp. And it's so funny to watch. Again, college students run these camps, which already should scare you when you're putting your children through these camps. But you see the progression of how done these college students get. The first day is like, oh, yeah, this is fun. They have some banter with the kids, right? By the time you get to month 1 or like month 1.5, the look of just, I'm done with these kids. They're bugging me now. Is so funny to watch.
Oh my gosh. We have one from Haley about team bonding activities.
Okay.
And this one includes of like how she goes in and bonds with the teams too.
Okay. Oh no, go ahead.
So she said, our football and cross country teams have done summer camp in Big Bear, girls basketball, but in November timeframe. So for those of you who are not around here, Big Bear is like our mountain town that's kind of close.
Yes.
Trees and mountains and elevation.
And snow.
Closer
to that November timeframe.
Yes. So she said, I provide practice coverage and first aid. The week-long camps help them to bond while staying in cabins with bunk beds and sharing all meals together, and helps with training and elevation. The first few days are slow due to acclimatization, but their endurance improves. Then when they come back home, they're like super athletes for a few days. Haha. The first thing they usually do is go for a hike with the coaches, and I tag along because I like to hike. I've had to treat blisters from team building, rock climbing, and archery activities.
Oh gosh, archery activities.
And, okay, so I didn't go to their Big Bear one, even though I probably could have.
Yeah.
I went with them to Hawaii.
No biggie. Like, I couldn't make the Big Bear one, but I'll do the Hawaii one.
And all the football players touched the coral, and they all had like on their fingers and their knees and their toes. They were all
I remember you saying
scraped up from touching the coral.
That's funny.
Another participating in camp activities.
This one's by Julie R. Needed an even number for squash camp, so I became a camper when I could. The school I'm a full-time ATC at has squash, but I have never played. It was hard, especially because I was out of shape and my glutes and quads were killing me for a few days. But so much fun. After that, any camp I worked, I tried to be involved in the sports as much as I could. Helped gain trust in campers in case they needed something. Not a camp story, but I think it was like our last practice or something for women's soccer. We played flag football, and normally I was like, nah, like but they kind of needed someone. I was like, all right, I'm in. So I got to play a little flag football.
That's so fun.
That was fun. I'm just glad I didn't tear my ACL.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just saying, man, I was a baller out there that day. Dude, they couldn't contain me. Also, it was funny because like the university I'm at, and like especially like women's soccer, we have a lot of international students. So
yes, you do.
Watching them try and figure out American football was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
It was pretty funny.
You know what I thought was interesting is like I feel like this is. Did we already have any squash stories in this episode? I think we did.
Yes, we've already talked about squash, which I'm very surprised we've had so many squash stories.
The next one, this is our last story actually, the next one.
Okay.
Is a squash story too.
How is like squash this popular?
It's not popular here. I guess it's just
the only program that I can think of is Stanford's.
That's what I was thinking
That's
too.
The only one I could think of out here.
Yeah.
Squash. And then to have a camp, like that means you do have people sign up for squash camp.
Right. I actually don't even know what that entails. Like I don't even know what that looks like.
Well, it's just like, so it does crack me up that like some universities offer track camp. And like, I get it, right? Like every sport has their camps, but it's like track camp? I don't know. That just seems weird to me to offer a camp. Like, I mean, I get it, right? You're getting coaching. Hold on. We all know who's coaching these camps. I'm telling you, it's the college student. It's never the actual coach. Or maybe it's the assistant coach, right? So, like, I get it. You're getting coaching from the camp, but it's like...
It's daycare.
Track camp? I don't know. That just seems weird to me.
Well, if your kid likes to run...
Yeah. Right? Like, I mean, I guess maybe, like, more geared towards, like, high schoolers who are, like, really trying to push track.
Again, if you are a kid and you like to run...
I'm just saying, one of my athletes did... Or, not my athletes, but the athletes at the school I was at really put it nicely. They were talking to one of my track kids and said, your sport's basically everyone's punishment. And I was just like, man, that's really true. Track as a sport is everyone's punishment. And I was just like, man, that is so true.
Yeah.
Your sport is punishment for everybody else.
And you enjoy it somehow.
Some of them don't. Some of them just still do it because they're good at it. And I'm pretty sure I've had a lot of conversation with track kids who, after they're done running, ask themselves, why did I pick this sport?
Why do I keep vomiting?
My favorite one was one of my athletes who, again, this kid was dominant. Usually after the hard days, we'd sit there and as his body was hurting, we'd always go back and forth. He was like, man, I should have played football. And I told him, I said, nah, dude, you'd be in worse shape. You should have played baseball. You'd feel a little bit better and make more money. So
seriously, actually. You ready for our last story?
About squash.
And also about squash?
About squash. I'm ready.
Okay. Just a heads up, we are censoring the name of this place because we don't want the podcast to be taken down.
Yes.
Okay, you can read it.
All right, this one's by Mackenzie A. I worked a squash camp at a pretty well-known Ivy League school. The experience was pretty cool and great money. I did 5 weeks. Some weeks were elementary school. Some were high school kids. Squash camp for elementary school? Like, there has to... I still can't see, like, elementary school kids are into squash?
Apparently.
This is blowing.
No, it's their parents who are into squash.
Making their kids do it. This is blowing my mind right now. I'm sorry.
That's your dream.
Mackenzie continues with, some from other countries. It's a pretty smart way to get the coaches to see you play for a week. It was my first time even knowing what squash was, so learning how to play was fun. I think the best part, besides staying on the campus, which is beautiful, was learning an entirely new sport and injuries. The coaches are either Ivy League players or on the professional circuit. There's a professional circuit?
Well, of course there is. It's a sport.
I know. I just wasn't prepared for professional circuit in squash. Mackenzie continues to say, and to see how they warm up and treat injuries is definitely different than what most ATCs see in quote-unquote normal sports. It was also cool to work at such a well-known and wealthy university. I've only ever been in the high school and clinical setting since graduating. It's a lot of stopping short and running back to certain spots on the court. Essentially normal injuries for tennis, but adding contusions because of the smaller space and playing on the same side as your opponent.
Oh.
Interesting. ACL tears, hamstring strains, and Achilles issues. This is getting so intense.
I know.
I ended up learning how to play so I could understand it more. Kicked my ass.
What? I didn't have to censor myself earlier?
I told you, I said crappy already. I was a field hockey player and even played in college. Nothing prepared me for the soreness after 15 minutes, and these kids play like for 6 hours a day at camp.
That's true. That's kind of what camps are like.
Oh, yeah, dude. They just run the kids, man. Which, by the way, like when you're a kid, like it doesn't matter. They have like nonstop energy.
Like a Belgian Malinois.
Like a Belgian Malinois.
Velociraptor.
Same thing, equivalent.
Yep.
I'm still, dude, I need some time to recover about all the squash. Like, I did not know squash was this much of a thing.
Yeah, I didn't either.
This is the best part about the podcast is I also get to learn. I've learned so much about squash just from this.
So if you guys have any more, well, first of all, if you want to see those stories from Jovany P, those pictures and the video, head over to our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/ATcornerPodcast. If you want to weigh in on any of the topics that we talked about.
About how intense squash is.
Or answer any of the questions we had, I feel like. Or tell us about your squash camps, because I feel like that has to be, we already have 3.
I feel like that has to be question of the week. Something related to squash.
Have you ever
have you ever covered squash?
Do you even know what squash is?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still a little iffy on.
Maybe what is the most unique sport you've worked?
Ooh.
What is the most unknown sport you've worked?
That's a good one.
Okay, so anyway, if we remember that's going to be in the Facebook group.
We'll always forget when we say it on the episode.
If you guys want to submit a story for a future episode, you can do so on our Instagram, which is where we post what our upcoming stories are. But we don't only do stories on this podcast. Every other episode, we do education or stories. So this one was a story episode. Next week is education. I believe we have a CEU episode.
Yes, we do. We're talking about training load.
Thanks to Precision AT, who's sponsoring that, and Randy for putting that together and doing all the backstage reading. Super awesome.
It's fun.
I'm glad you think so.
I love reading.
So anyway, I think that's all of our fine print as of right now. Actually, MedBridge, we are still with MedBridge. They are doing $175 off with our promo code. It is still live. It is still active. AT Corner will get you $175 off. I think. Is that $175 or $150?
Yeah. $175. I think it's $175, which, by the way, it's almost that CEU time. It doesn't feel like it, but it's almost here. So, hey, you can get a little jump, get a little head start.
Yeah, so anyway, anything that we talk about, any of these fine prints, go down to the show notes. It's all listed out there. There's links you can click on, and you don't have to remember all of the stuff that we're word vomiting right now.
Yes.
So, you got anything else, Randy?
Also, new release date?
Oh, I think we're switching to Wednesdays. So look out for us on Wednesdays, my dude.
That's right. We are Wednesdays, my dude. That's what we're shooting for to release our episodes now.
Yeah. So it's football season. It is soccer season. It is.
Oh, it's mostly football season. Let's be honest. Football's a bear.
So I think Wednesday is going to be a better release date for us. We'll see how you guys like it. See how we like it.
Plus, hey, maybe it helps get you over the hump.
Yeah, looking forward to halfway through the week.
That's right.
Anyway, we'll see you soon, guys. Got anything else?
Nope. Thank you for helping us showcase athletic training behind the tape. Bye.